So CEOs can be struggling mightily with a lot of internal challenges associated with being in that role. So I'm really trying to work with people that are struggling in those ways. I'm not the executive coach that's going to come in and say, I'll work on your strategic plan with you. There's plenty of coaches that do that. Or, if you just want to come and you need someone that's going to give you the attaboy, that's not for me. I want people who are like, want their brain and their hearts aligned and lead from a place of like really feeling good about who they are, and they have clarity and understanding, and that's where they're coming from when they lead.
Welcome to Triangle Tweener Talks, a weekly podcast by builders for builders where we explore the startup journey from the idea to the exit and all the lessons in between, with an exclusive focus on founders from the Triangle region of North Carolina. Now here's your host, serial founder and general partner of the Triangle Tweener Fund, Scott Wingo.
Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of the Triangle Tweener Talk starring Dr. Doug Kaufman. Here in this episode, I don't want to give you any spoilers, but we explore Doug's journey from psychology into entrepreneurship. And we're going to look at how those past challenges we talked about in part 1 turn into experiences that help Dr. Doug elevate his game and prepare for something big that's coming next. Stay tuned.
So you had like a good experience
Yep.
at Blackboard, and then the text thing did well and it didn't hit a rough spot.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
But it's part of it's because you're trying to like elevate your game. If you just did another bootstrap, simpler kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. So every time you poke your head up, sometimes it gets whacked off.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And, I think one of the things I made a decision early on that I was only going to do startups that had a mission I really believed in, which you think that's like, well, duh, doesn't every founder do that? No. And there were many ideas either that I came up with or people that came to me and said, hey, we'd like you to be part of this, that I knew for sure would make more money more easily, for sure. And I said no to because they didn't have the mission that I really wanted to be a part of. So I've left probably a lot of money on the table by either going for startups that have a mission that I care about, even if I'm like, they have a chance, but I don't know, or are really big swings, right? So when I did, my last one, mental health space, this was a big swing. And that's why I did it, because I knew if I was successful at all with it, it would help so many people. It seemed worthwhile.
Yeah.
It was very, very hard. And even, this is jumping past TransLoc, same thing. It's like, there's so much opportunity here to help a lot of people, which to me makes it interesting.
Let's talk about TransLoc. So after Spring Metrics, you probably had to take some time off, I imagine, to reset. But then how did you get connected to TransLoc? So when I knew I was leaving Spring Metrics, I went and talked to a very small number of people, not looking for anything, not thinking I was going to get anything. But I went to some people. One of them was Dhruv Patel, who at the time was at CED. And, our offices were near each other. And I went to him and I said, hey, Dhruv, I'm just going to give you an update. And I know I'm going to be leaving in a couple of months. And so, I guess I got to figure out what I'm going to do after that. And he said, you should talk to the people at TransLoc. Do you know TransLoc? I said, no, I don't know what that is. And I said, what do they do? And he said, mass transit technology. And I said, Dhruv, I swear to you, if you give me an hour to try and think of something more boring, I will not be able to do it. And he said, no. It's actually really interesting. They have a good product. They just need some leadership help. And he said, talk to Jason Massey, who's on the board. I said, fine, great. So I went and talked to Jason Massey. It was interesting enough that he said, why don't you talk to Josh Whitten, the founding CEO? And I did. And so that was the beginning of getting to TransLoc. Yeah. And the TransLoc founding story was 2 NC State students that wanted to be able to track the buses.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So they created a way to put a GPS on there, and then back in the day, it was probably a website that turned into an app ultimately to say, hey, the bus is coming. I should leave my dorm exactly at this moment to meet the bus at the bus stop.
That's right. Yeah, and it was definitely, there were no, it was not on mobile in the beginning. It was a web page, and they put Nextel phone.
That is a thing.
The Nextel phones in like the bulkhead of a bus, and they used that. They jerry-rigged that somehow and did a really cool stuff with technology to be able to show the location and get a arrival prediction.
Yeah. How far along were they when you joined?
So they started in 2004. I was talking to them in 2012. 10. I started in 2011, I believe. So they had been around 7 years by the time I started.
Okay. Yeah.
6-7 years. Yep.
They had obviously grown to past the NC State bus.
That's right. So they had, I think, 36 or 38 transit agency customers. Almost all, but not all, were university transit systems. And they had 12 or 14 people in the company. Mm-hmm. And, Josh Whitten said, he said the company's healthy, good financials, profitable, but we don't know how to scale it. And I'm not going to be the one to do it. I would like to hire you and another person that they already hired. Said, I want the two of you to run the company together, and I'm going to step aside. I'm going to keep the CEO title, but you two work together, run the company, and if you run into problems that you can't resolve yourselves, you can call me, and I'll make the decision, basically, as the CEO. I said, okay, because this seemed like a great, fraught with danger, of course.
Yeah.
There's so many red flags in just a few sentences I just said.
Yeah.
But you put that aside. At the time, I didn't want a job, but I needed to have a job. My wife at the time made it clear I needed to have a job, and she was right. And she said, you can do anything for 2 years. Get yourself right on someone else's dime. Get an actual paycheck, which you haven't had in a long time.
Little healthcare,
and you don't have to carry the weight of the whole company. And so it seemed like a great opportunity because I could almost be CEO, but I didn't have to be the CEO and have all the weight on me. So I said, I will do it for 2 years. And I told this to Josh. I said, I will do it for 2 years, and then I'm going to go do my own thing. And he said, fine. And so that's what we did. And he stepped aside, and the two of us ran this other person. We ran the company together, and found out the company was not financially healthy and not ready to scale and not doing great. And so it became a turnaround. To be clear, Josh was not doing anything nefarious. He was not lying about this. It was unclear internally, the situation. Mm-hmm. And he was surprised when we told him, it looks like we're going to run out of money pretty soon. So we proceeded to turn the company around. That was the start of kind of going up and to the right.
Cool. Then ultimately you did become CEO, right?
I did.
And then you raised a lot of money from SJF, which is local.
Yeah. So we raised one round of funding. We had co-lead investors who are SJF, local, who are great, and Fontinalis, which is out of Detroit. And that was actually started by Bill Ford. And it's 100% on mobility. So they were two of our top targets, right? I mean, you know this, when you raise, you create your list of all your targets that you want to go after. I think a lot of entrepreneurs think when you raise funding, they just come to you and you just sort of go with it. It's like, no, you actually go make your list, who you want as investors, why you do your research, and you go after them. And so those were two of our top. Fontinalis was certainly top because of their experience in mobility.
Yeah.
And so they co-led the round. We raised a little over $6 million in equity and another $2 million in debt from Square One Bank locally.
Good old Square One.
Square One.
Yep, back in the day.
Yeah.
And then my outsider's view is, at this point I started the tweener list, so I was tracking the company. And the innovation was you went from universities to metros to other bus lines. And then it was all about the customer journey, but then you flipped the data on the other side, and you would go to a city or university and say, look, your bus routes are this, but people are getting on here and getting off here. Here's an optimal way of doing this. And thus there's like an energy aspect to that too. Because if you have 6 buses going in a loop somewhere and no one's on them, that's obviously wildly inefficient.
That's right.
So if you can start tracking people and their routes, then you can improve the system. You can now create a
100%.
Feedback loop.
100%. So one other thing is that, we started to create a suite of products, which at the time the company just had one product. We started doing more things like this. And we started to create a mobility network, right? So what we wanted to do when Uber came along and ride sharing and bike sharing and these things came along, we wanted to create one system that would allow you to go anywhere, and the system would just tell you which modes to take and actually make them all work together. So you would go, it would say, oh, you want to go to Charlotte. So we're going to get on an Uber and we're going to go to the train station. Then you're going to take the train down there. And then the transit department's system, they're going to have an on-demand vehicle come and get you from the transit system, because we actually enabled transit systems to do Uber-like service, which was a new innovation. And you just hit a button and say, yeah, that's what we wanted to do. So we were working on that. And then we also did this thing that you're talking about, which is, why can't we show transit agencies where the riders start their journey, get on transit, the route they take, they get off transit, and where they end up? And that was a real, that really challenged the mindset of transit agencies. Because I would go to them and say, what if we could show you the riders? And they would say, but you can't. I would say, what if? Doug, you can't. Right? They were so fixed in their thinking. And so I would say, let's just forget the technology. Let's just assume that I can build anything I say in this meeting. Okay? And so would this help? And they were like, of course that would help. I mean, right now, at the time, if they wanted to make a change to route, let's say they just wanted to move a stop, they had no data. So they would move the stop and they'd kind of sit around and see how many people called and yelled at them. And they said, nobody yelled. That was a good move. Or a lot of people yelled, move it back. So by showing them, giving them real data about how people move around, it just changed the game for them because they try really hard. People have a lot of negative opinions about transit agencies. They try very hard to do a good job for the riders. So they wanted this information, and it allowed them to create better experiences for the riders.
Awesome. Cool. And then not too far after you did that round, you guys ended up selling to Ford.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 years, 2 years?
It was 18 months after we raised the round.
Yep.
Ballpark 18 months. Yeah. So Ford, soon after the round, Ford actually came to us because they wanted to do something with non-emergency medical transportation, which needs dynamic routing like Uber, right? Which we were doing for transit agencies. And they said, oh, we've tried to do this, didn't work out so well. We'd like to partner with you and use your dynamic routing to send these vehicles, these non-emergency medical vehicles around. Great. So we started talking to them, and very quickly it turned and they said, forget about this partnering thing. We just want to buy you. And I said, well, that's nice. We're not for sale. And they said, no, we're going to buy you. And I said, we're not for sale. And this is the conversation that went on for a while.
Yeah. Did you each walk away twice?
We did not.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Not twice. We did walk away once.
Okay. There you go. You did your side of the equation.
We did.
Yeah.
It was a challenging process to actually make it happen. So they went through a lot of internal changes at the time. Jim Hackett, who was part of Ford Smart Mobility, had filled his group, Ford Smart Mobility, with tech leaders, not Ford Motor Company people, which you need to do if you're creating mobility and not cars. And he ended up, during this whole diligence process, moving to become Ford Motor Company CEO. And they replaced him, and the person they replaced him with said, we got to get rid of all these tech people that are in leadership positions. We need Ford Motor Company people there that don't know anything about technology or mobility, but they're the right people. So by the time our deal actually happened,
your champions
what happened? They were all gone.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. But we ran into some challenges during the diligence process, which were, to me, very odd, and things did fall apart. We brought a stalking horse into the game to kind of light a fire under Ford, and that caused a bunch of things. And ultimately, we did walk away and had to go back, which was a very, very delicate process to bring an M&A team from a Fortune 15 company back to the table and make them confident you're not going to walk away again. But fortunately, this time, we had an excellent board who worked really well as a team, and we were able to handle everything really well. I mean, in no small part because of that teamwork.
Yeah. So you learned your lesson on board composition.
Yes, sir. I learned it so much that when we raised money, I sent them, I created a document. I wrote up my view on what board meetings are and are not. I sent it to them. I'm like, here you go. Do not join this board. Do not give us money if you are not in agreement with this. And they're all like, of course, this is the way boards are supposed to be. And I said, thank God. Thank God I found good investors. I'm so happy. And they were great.
Give us the 90-second Dr. Doug, how to run a board meeting.
So I'm not going to do the tactical stuff. There's plenty of things out there that can teach you how to like run the meeting from a tactical perspective. I will say a couple of things. One, it is the CEO's meeting. The board is there to support you. Their job is to fire and hire CEOs and support the existing CEO, in my opinion. But you as the CEO, your job is every day with your entire company is to empower them and make them successful in the role they're in. So it's a highly collaborative role, but establishing each person's role, not position, but each person's role in that team, and it has to be fostered as a team, is really important from day one. Because if you get someone that's not in agreement with that and becomes a very strong personality, that can just destroy the entire board.
Yeah.
And so it's establishing that early, making sure it is very clear, I'm not doing this for power, it's not control, it is, I want to make sure we agree we are a team, and I'm the QB of the team, for lack of a better metaphor. And you will never have to worry about me doing these things you hear of crazy CEOs doing lots of times, but I also expect you to not do the things that have occurred when you hear about crazy board members trying to do all sorts of wacky things, and I list some of those things out and what have you. So I think it's establishing that early, lots of communication very early, loads of transparency. So I was in regular communication with the board. It wasn't like we just get together every quarter. We talked a lot. I encouraged them to use our product. Dave Kirkpatrick at SJF used to send me texts all the time. The arrival prediction this morning was wrong when I was on my way. I'm like, oh my God, amazing. So it's really fostering that teamwork while understanding everybody's role within that team. That's, I think, just at a high level, the most important thing.
Yeah, so a lot of it's the setup and
totally
just kind of making sure everyone kind of understands how you're going to do things.
Yeah, well, I mean, even think about it like here. We are sitting here having an excellent conversation. It is very clear what our roles are. I am no way upset about that, feeling minimized by that. I'm not trying to take over. I feel honored by being in this position. And this is your show. You're the one that is guiding us where we need to go.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think a board meeting should be.
Got it. We could do a whole segment on that, but we'll save that for another time. Okay, so then that's sold, and you probably stayed on with Ford for, I think you still stayed on like a year or two, right?
Stayed on also 18 months.
18 months, yep, right in the middle. Yep. And then you left, and then you took some time off, and then you started Belongly.
Yep, I did. I bought some property out east and spent a good amount of time driving around on a tractor. And
you had your Grizzly Adams phase? Grew the beard out, wrestled a bear?
Well, ironically, so this was, COVID started. We got the property August of 2019. And then, a few months later, COVID. So, it wasn't Grizzly Adams. I hate to say this, but I ended up looking a lot more like Willie Nelson.
Wow.
My hair got really long. This is not a good thing, Scott. My hair got very long and
Did you braid your beard?
I did not grow the beard. I kept it short because I know what I look like with a beard. So my self-esteem is not strong enough to handle that kind of beard. So I did that for a while, and then, started Belongly.
Yeah. So what was you hinted earlier, you wanted to have a big idea. What was the big idea of Belongly?
Yeah. So the original idea was really trying to get at the mental health crisis that young people were facing, which was only going to get worse in COVID by being taken away from friends, doing things that are developmentally important with groups and peers and what have you, all the things we know about. But it's very hard for parents to know when their kids are actually struggling with true mental health issues or maybe on a path to. And so I said, I believe there is a way, a science-backed way, to use data from kids' phones to determine if they are struggling with mental health challenges or on a path to. And I would like to make parents aware of that, and then as quickly as possible, give them information to help them support their kids best in that moment. That was the gist.
Yeah.
And so David Rosh became my technical co-founder. Guy's amazing. And we built a product to do this, and it
worked. Surprisingly, I was like, oh my God, this thing actually works. And it worked well. But we realized pretty early that there was this interesting thing where I spoke with 150 parents before deciding to do this about this issue. How are your kids? Are you facing mental health challenges? Do you think they are? 149 of them said, oh my God, my kids are struggling. My neighbors' kids are struggling. If their kids weren't struggling, their best friends' kids were like everyone. And people were saying, you have to build this. You have to build this. You have to build this. And I said, okay. And it just seemed very clear that the market needed this. And so we built it. And then what would happen was we were bringing people on to test the early version, like 5 or 10 at a time. So people had to wait a while. And by the time I said to a parent, okay, we're ready to give you the product and you can start using it, they would say, well, my kid's doing okay now. So let's not worry about it. That was interesting. I said, well, I didn't know that was the time to stop caring if your kids were having mental health problems, which I didn't say to them in those words. But what it turned out to be was there was definitely a disconnect between what people were saying they wanted and what they actually wanted. And so I said to David, I don't think this is going to work. I think we should pivot. I think there's a different thing we can do, which is actually to focus on the therapists and mental health providers and empowering them to be most successful at their work. And if we do that, then all these kids are going to get help anyway. And we had evidence as to why they would want this. And I said, and when we do this, we can start with the problem we hear over and over and over again, which is that referrals suck. Trying to find a therapist is really, really hard. Finding a therapist that actually works for you, where you're like, I met a therapist, we clicked, it's perfect, love it. That's pretty rare. And I said, that's a problem I think we can tackle. Let's create a platform for them where we will empower these therapists, and then we will try and figure out this referral problem using the power of all these therapists that we bring onto our platform. So that was kind of what we did in the beginning.
Cool. Now, you kept a toe in the water on the psychology side through the Alley Dog? Because you haven't, in our timeline, you haven't really been doing that for quite a while. But did that give you the confidence to kind of like know that you could dip back into this world?
Not necessarily. So I was always doing Alley Dog a little bit. There's always, a couple hours a week, always. I think really what gave me the confidence was that I did not have to be the mental health expert. That's not what it was about. It was about understanding the mental health professional. What are they dealing with? What do they need solved? How do they need it solved in the best way? So it was actually my confidence in being an entrepreneur as opposed to being a psychologist.
And you're one orbit away.
That's right.
Right.
And actually the fact that I had a PhD in psychology gave me credibility with them.
Which taught the lingo, do the secret handshake.
And they are very skeptical.
The Vulcan mind mold.
Yes. I would say you shall be on the platform.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
That's right. So that helped quite a bit.
Yeah. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about that journey. So so you started consumer, you went to B2B, which usually makes it easier skiing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Every founder knows consumer is like way harder than
it's like super hard.
100x than
and this was a marketplace essentially, and marketplaces are really tough, as you know.
Yeah, marketplaces are hard because you're building two businesses simultaneously.
That's right. So we ended up raising a round after we pivoted to this, to Belongly, and we raised it quickly. And that was great group of investors there, including Trina Fund. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I made the strategic decision that I didn't want any friction to getting therapists on the platform. I wanted them to join, sort of a LinkedIn approach. I wanted you to join this community because it's a great community, and the more of you that are there, the better the community gets. So I wasn't going to charge you. Later, we were going to build premium products that we would charge you for, like a LinkedIn Premium. Right. So that's what we were doing.
The freemium model.
Freemium model. And we were getting lots of therapists on board quickly. They were engaging. It was going well. And then it came time to raise the next round of funding so that we could build the premium products to start generating revenue. And that's when the market changed quite a bit. And all the investors that were early stage investors, the feedback I got was, things are different now, Doug. And we would like to see $1 million in ARR.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we're not even charging anyone. They're like, right. So until you can show $1 million in ARR or whatever kind of other metric they threw at me, we can't invest. And so
it was really, really hard. I could not raise the round we needed to. We raised a little bit of money, enough so that unfortunately, I had to let pretty much everybody go except a very small number of people. And we tried our best to get to the premium products, which included using AI actually to match therapists with prospective clients on the most important factor that nobody else was doing at the time to but to certainly improve the odds of therapeutic success. And it just, you know how this goes. When you go from an engineering team to one engineer, the thing that should take you 3 months to build is going to take you a year. And that's what happened. And I said, what's going to happen is we are going to run out of money right when we get this thing built and to market. And that's essentially what happened. So it's been, it's been a struggle. It is still active. I still work on it. We still have thousands and thousands of therapists, but it has not grown the way I want. And mainly because we could not raise that capital because the market shifted.
Yeah.
And because I made that strategic decision.
Yep. And then did the referral system ever get going or?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
It works, but the problem is we need to drive traffic to it.
Yeah. Gotta have capital.
If only I knew some people that had some capital.
So that's kind of on life support basically, or kind of like just kind of waiting for, maybe there's some catalyst that comes along.
That's
or
right.
You figure out a virility that requires you can do it without capital.
That's
kind
right.
of thing.
That's right.
And then what have you been doing in the meantime?
So in the meantime, I've been doing a few things. So one is I was asked to teach a class at Duke on developing the entrepreneurial mindset. So I've been doing that, going into semester number 3.
Is that in the MBA program over at Fuqua? Or?
It's in Fuqua. It's undergrad. It's in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship program.
Yeah. Is Sheldon, that guy, Sheldon, the Party City guy? Is he doing that with you? Don't know him. Okay.
You mean, are you talking about Shep?
Shep
Moyle.
Yes. Sorry.
Shep.
Yeah. Shep. Yeah.
Shep is awesome.
Yeah.
He is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's there. So
Have
Jamie
you met the guy
Jones,
that does the little TikToks? Have you met that dude?
that's Aaron Denon. Yep.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah.
Yep. And so entrepreneur. So here's a funny thing. At least I think it's funny, Scott. Hopefully your listeners do too. So Aaron Denon was an entrepreneur back in the day. He's been at Duke teaching for about a decade. He has one of the most popular courses at Duke, and he's one of the top-rated professors at Duke. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Jamie Jones, head of the program, comes, asks me to teach his class. I say yes. She says, you should talk to Aaron Denon. He's really figured out kind of Duke students that are they're afraid of failure. They're very anxious about grades. It's very tough. And he really has figured out how to get through to them and kind of get around this like anxiety. I'm like, great. I said, there's only one problem. I said, I know Aaron. I met him like a decade ago. Mm-hmm. And I actually think I wasn't very nice to him. And she's like, what? Give me a break. And I was like, no, I actually think I was kind of a jackass to him. She's like, just talk to him anyway. I said, great. So I reached out to Aaron, do you want to meet? I'd love to ask questions. Mm-hmm. He's very gracious. He said, absolutely. We set up a time, we sit down. And I said, before we start, do you remember that we met like a decade ago? She's like, yeah, of course I remember. I said, I think I was an asshole to you. And he said, that's hysterical because I was going to tell you, I think I was an asshole to you. I'm like, what? And so it was sort of this, it was a very funny moment, but it's sort of this, it was like a humility fight. I was like, no, I was a jackass. No, you were great. He actually said, you gave me very constructive feedback. It was strong, but you were very nice about it. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, my feeling was I kind of felt like maybe I was dismissing the idea and maybe discouraging you. And he didn't get it that way. And he said, I think I was just like arrogant, like my idea is the best idea and you don't know what the hell you're talking about kind of approach. So we both learned a lot from that. And he's an amazing person. So yeah, I get to see him.
Are you doing TikToks and stuff?
No, I have a face for radio, Scott.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe
You have good TikTok hair.
Thank you. It would be great if we had a fan going or something in here to like.
You could ride a horse.
That'd be
we'll digitally add a horse.
That would be. Now we're talking.
Fabio it up. And then you're also helping Robbie.
Yeah. So I'm teaching a class. I'm coaching, very specific kind of coaching. I'm not just doing general coaching or life.
Not volleyball.
Not volleyball. It's executive coaching. So that I think is super interesting, very fulfilling. Both the teaching and the coaching, super fulfilling.
When you say a very specific thing, what executive coaching can go a lot of different directions. What specifically?
So I'm really working with people that are, well, I'll give you one example. One type of person I'm working with is the kind of person that has really reached a high level. And that could be an exit. Great. They got a lot of money all of a sudden. It doesn't have to be, they could just be, they've reached CEO level and they've like kind of conquered that mountain. But in either case, they're not feeling great about themselves, right? Like people know this all the time that people, you will often see an entrepreneur have a huge success, they have an exit, and they will say afterwards, like, I actually feel worse. I feel lost. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I can't believe I feel this bad. And now I'm feeling bad about the fact that I feel bad because I'm rich and I shouldn't feel bad. And even the people that are in their roles currently, so CEOs can be struggling mightily with a lot of internal challenges associated with being in that role. So I'm really trying to work with people that are struggling in those ways. I'm not the executive coach that's going to come in and say, I'll work on your strategic plan with you. There's plenty of coaches that do that. Or, if you just want to come and you need someone that's going to give you the attaboy, that's not for me. I want people who are like, want their brain and their hearts aligned and lead from a place of like really feeling good about who they are, and they have clarity and understanding. And that's where they're coming from when they lead. And leading doesn't have to be they're still in a CEO role. They could never run a company again. But bringing all of that together is what I want to do with coaching clients.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I want to spend a minute on that towards the end, but let's circle back. And then you're working with Robbie on Automated Consulting Group.
Automated Consulting. So it's an AI consulting group started by Robbie Allen and Tom Colopy. And I know you are helping as well, which is great. It was strange for me that when Robbie said, do you want to join? Because I said, well, Robbie, I am not an AI expert, right? You do know this, right? We've known each other since like 2003. Like, you know this. And so what he and Tom told me was he said, no, we want you to be part of like this small leadership group because we believe that unlike many other AI consulting companies, most of whom were like IT consultants a week ago, who are coming into companies and saying, I will help you reduce costs and optimize every process by bringing AI in and getting rid of your people. We believe that's not the path to ultimate success for companies. The path to success is humans plus AI, and using AI to empower humans and making them the best they can possibly be. And when you bring those two together, it's this huge force multiplier. And they said, we know the AI, you know the people, you know a little bit about AI, we know a little bit about people. If we come together, we're going to have this much more holistic offering that we think will be one of the differentiators for us.
Yeah, I know it's early, but I've heard that some of the training you've been delivering is really well received. Much to everyone's surprise. No,
no one is more surprised than me, Scott, and my students. They're also very surprised that anybody likes the training. It's really interesting work to do. I think the trainings we've done, it's such a nice balance of having, you bring someone like Robbie who's been doing real AI work since, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when he was at MIT, and he's started and exited AI companies. So he is an OG. He knows what he's doing. So having the ability to come in and say, here's an expert who's going to level you up and help you understand what AI is, what it's not, what it can do, what it can, what the playing field looks like. Someone like Tom that can come in and say, at a technical level, I will help you understand. You don't have to understand the tech, but I know the tech well enough that in 30 minutes, you're going to know how to do a custom GPT, and we're going to elevate you, and you're going to prompt correctly and all that stuff. And then having someone on the human side that says, and let's not forget, people are scared they're going to lose their jobs. Why don't we figure out how to help them not be so scared, help you lead in a way that's going to make them confident and feel empowered. And also, I can help you figure out what AI projects you actually want to do with this company by helping you do ideation process and finding the real pain in your organization. So that combination seems to be working really well so far.
Yeah. Are you having fun with that?
I like it a lot. I mean, working with Robbie, whatever. But no, he's actually amazing. Both he and Tom are great. So I feel truly fortunate that they asked me to do this. I never would have gone to him and said, I'd love to be a part of this. So the fact that they had this vision that they did is really great. And I love working with them. They're great people to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to spend a minute and talk about kind of founder mental health. So there's a lot of documented cases. Usually it happens in Silicon Valley because it's like such a hard charging environment and everything, where you do have founders that they fail and they can't get out of a cycle there. And, there's all kinds of negative stuff that can happen we don't have to talk about. But what are some of the things that you've seen, and you've been up to your own ups and downs, so you've kind of been on the experiential side of this. From a founder mental health, what can we do? My non-psychology thing is whenever someone fails, I try to say it happens, right? Like the whole thing is designed, if you're not pushing hard enough, and there's going to be failures. So as an investor, I always try to say, happened, you took a great shot. Next time you raise, we want to know. But what else can we do as a community to support founders that are going through these, even the ups, like you mentioned, someone having an exit and feeling funky about it? What can we do?
Yeah, it's a huge problem. It's a big question. So, I will say I struggle with this myself, right? Even now, with Belongly, I am struggling with that. In part because not just the things you mentioned, which I'll touch on in just a second, but the fact that lots of people that invested, they're my friends. And the idea of losing my friends' money, even though they all knew ahead of time, they're all professionals, they're all adults. I had long conversations with people saying, just assume it's going to zero. If you're not comfortable with that, don't give me them. I did all the things to qualify this. Okay. For me, and I think for lots of people, losing money that friends gave you and trusted you and said that I worked hard for this money and I'm going to give it to you, that's super painful. And I think that at the heart of a lot of these challenges that entrepreneurs have, myself included, many of us in the community, even when we're having success, I think at the heart of a lot of this, it's not the only cause, but we tell ourselves these stories about who we are and the value we bring to every interaction, to our companies, to our life, to our spouses, to our loved ones. We tell ourselves stories. We use labels. So like if, I won't turn it on you, but if people ask, if you ask most people, who are you? How do you describe yourself? We use these labels. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a father, right? It's the things we do are the things we use to say, this is who I am and this is what I'm worth, right? And so for an entrepreneur, I'm worth whatever I'm producing oftentimes. When my company is going great, I'm great. And when my company is going badly, I'm bad.
Yep.
Right? And we internalize so much of this because of these stories that we're telling ourselves, as opposed to, no, I'm actually a really good person. I care deeply about people. I have friends. I take care of them. They take care of me. There's these other things in life, but we get very stuck on these stories. And it doesn't help that there are services like TechCrunch, which are less popular now, but back in the day, it was like, if you weren't on TechCrunch reported on you, that's it. We were in Wired magazine. We were ranked above like Tesla or something. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Who the hell cares about being in Wired magazine? And probably our internal marketing and PR company that made it happen. It wasn't because I did anything. But when it's not going well, we really struggle. How do I deal with this and run my company at the same time? Because the company is demanding so much of me, I almost don't even have time to take care of myself. And that's exactly when you need to be taking care of yourself. So, typical long-winded answer from me, but you asked, what as a community should we or could we be doing? So first of all, I think every investor, when you put money into a company, there should be some money that is earmarked for executive coaching and therapists. 100%. At least for the CEO, if not the whole C-suite. And if there's no C-suite, just whoever's in leadership, I don't care what the title is, leadership roles. Both is ideal. If you can't have both, at least have one, right? When I was at TransLoc, I had both. And they were so valuable mean, I'm not going to say they saved my life because I have never had an interest in ending my life, but I would not have gotten through the things we went through in as healthy a way as I did were it not for their support. Other things as well. I was surrounded by amazing people at TransLoc, but I needed them. And so investors, give money. You can't force anyone to do it, but you can encourage them, right? You can bring them coaches. You can make referrals for them. You can ask them, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Have you enlisted a coach yet? If not, why not? How can I help you get that coach? Do you need help finding a therapist? I'll help you. So the more we talk about it and the more we normalize it, I think the better it will be. One of the things I tell people all the time is that coaches and therapists, I mean, especially with coaches, people are always like, I don't need a coach. I know what the hell I'm doing. And therapists, if my board found out I had a therapist, I would lose the confidence of the board. And you have to remind them, well, the greatest leaders in history all had coaches. Most of them had therapists. Bill Campbell, the $1 trillion coach, Coach Steve Jobs, Eric Schmidt, all the Google leaders, like they all had coaches. It's important. The last thing I'll say I could say many more things about this, but the last thing I'll say is that I think that we as a community should flip the script on vulnerability. Because right now I think entrepreneurs in particular think vulnerability is a weakness. And vulnerability is an absolute superpower. And so if we can help them understand that being vulnerable is how we're going to connect more, it's going to get you where you want to go, better, faster, more money, more success. You're going to bring everyone else along. People are going to want to follow you more if you are vulnerable. Then they will start doing it more. But at the moment, they're afraid to do it because they think people will lose confidence. It will show weakness.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, the ability to show vulnerability shows you are strong. Your inability to show it is your weakness.
Awesome. I think that's a good place to leave it.
Okay.
Doug, thanks for taking time to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
I had never heard your full journey, so it was great to hear that from start to finish, and keep on doing what you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much and all you're doing, and thanks for having me.
For more tweener content, check out the Triangle Tweener Times Substack at tweener.substack.com. For more tweener content, check out tweenertimes.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon on Triangle Tweener Talks.